1911, women's choices were few, and none could preach out, give voice to her view.
Well, I've always done music. I mean, my first concert was in kindergarten when my teacher asked, "Does anybody have a song to sing for us?" So I raised my hand and I went to the front of the class and I sang, "Though April showers may come your way, they give the showers that bloom in May." And then I stopped and she says, "Well, what's the rest of the song?" I said, "That's all I know." And I've been singing for people ever since. Girl Scout camp was a big influence on me. I was a Girl Scout from the time like I was a junior scout up until I was a camp counselor up until 20. And at Camp Seven Hills in Western New York, the Buffalo, New York area. And I would sing. We sang. We got up in the morning and we sang until we went to sleep at night. We had a song for sweeping the floors, for hiking, for the campfire, and it was the perfect place for me. It just really, I love music. I have always been singing, always. And I have a granddaughter now, and we sing together and we write our own little songs. And she's 4 and she's composing now. I mean, music is in everybody. That's what I really believe. And the other big influence for me as a musician was being part of music, and I am still part of Music for People that David Darling founded. He was a musician that lived in Goshen and he passed away last year. And he's been a big influence on me in that organization. And I learned and I know, but it reinforced that music is in everybody and it's a human right to be able to create music and to participate in it. Well, there's many art forms. There's dancing and there's, some singing and there's instrumental music and there's painting, making cakes. But I have to say that, and I've realized that music is the only art form that penetrates every cell of your body because whether you are paying attention or not, the sound waves are moving through you. And so I think that has, for me, have realized I have to be very careful about the music that I put out into the world because it literally impacts every human being who listens to it. And the birds, and we had one Thanksgiving, my kids brought their birds home from school and for Thanksgiving, and I was playing my dulcimer in the dining room, and the birds sang with me. Every time I picked up the dulcimer, the birds sang with me. I mean, music influences everything around it,
Mhm.
everything. When I was around 20, I had a friend who gave me a dulcimer as a gift, and I was living in the Buffalo, New York area. That's where I grew up. I'm a Buffalo girl, and I there was no teachers around, but I found a some books in a used bookstore, and so I taught myself to play the dulcimer because I played piano, I played violin, and I played the guitar, so I knew music. But and then I kind of it just went to the wayside. But then when we moved into Connecticut in 1984, I was a teacher for 2 or 3 years in Torrington, and then I had babies. And up in Winstead, there was a dulcimer shop, Folk Craft Instruments, and I had my infant, so I wasn't working. And so I think it was Wednesday night, I got out of the house and I wasn't a mother anymore. And I went and Dallas Klein, who is my beloved teacher, gave me lessons. We had group lessons. There were like 5 or 6 of us in the group. And we became very close. And Dallas was a great, great, great supporter of my music. And I started taking dulcimer lessons. And then she kind of pushed me out into the world and said, "Start doing your own thing. You're really good." And I got a little recording contract and made my first album, which is Let's Pretend, original and traditional songs for children. And my music just kind of grew from there. And then I became a teaching artist with the Office of the Arts. And then I became the Connecticut State Troubadour. And my career has just grown. It's just been amazing. And I love the dulcimer. In fact, I just want to show, I have one in my lap. This is my newest one. And it's got a little Carolina wren. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. This was made in California by Blue Lion Dulcimers. So I wrote this song. It's called Find Your Way Home. And I wrote it for a conference that I was going at, an arts and education conference. And it's really my theory, my feeling about music and arts and creativity. Imagine, dream, listen and soar, infinite ways to create and explore. Sing your song like a thrush at first light, perched on the edge, then you'll glide into flight. Sing your way home, sing your way home, sing your way home. Imagine, dream, listen and soar, infinite ways to create and explore. Paint your dreams with palettes so bright, lighting our way through the darkest of night. Paint your way home, paint your way home, paint your way home. Imagine, dream, listen and soar, infinite ways to create and explore. We're all lovers and dreamers and seekers of truth. The art of discovery begins in our youth. Keep your flame burning, kindle with care, for your life is your masterpiece. I was singing at schools, and I say to little second graders, I said, "Where is home? Is it around the block, 4 doors up? Or where else could home be?" And there's always this really bright, especially in the second grade, a bright kid going, "It's yourself. You're finding your way to yourself." My last full album recording was with him, and it was basically the last album that he made live. I mean, they've released some other albums of his that he recorded in the studios in previous years, but this was his last real recording project. Um, and He lived right up the road in Goshen, like 3 miles from here, and it was just a a year and a half because we both got sick and he got sick and things. We lost our engineer for a while, but it was just this very joyful experience of going into the studio at his house. And I would record my little dulcimer tunes. They're very simple little tunes mostly. And I would come back, like 2 weeks later, and you could just see that he worked really hard on it. There'd be like 12, 13, 14, 15 tracks of cello, that just was just a gorgeous. They took this little dulcimer piece and just made it, to me, a symphony. And it was really a very special experience for me. In fact, the reason that I made it is that we were in an airport together with my husband. We're in the same plane with David, and halfway through the flight, there was one seat open. It was between me and my husband. So he came up and sat with us, and he said, "We need to do an album together." I said, "Okay, let's do that." And so I did. Before we moved to Connecticut, and then I was teaching, and then I stopped working because I had babies, and I went to the dulcimer shop. Before that, I really wasn't, I didn't think of myself as a musician. I would play the guitar at camp, and I would sometimes, when I was working with my special ed students, I would bring my guitar in and sing with them. But I didn't think of myself as a musician until I started playing the dulcimer, and I took a Julia Cameron course actually at Wisdom House with Julia Cameron. And, I had a little album out, the children's album, and all of a sudden I realized that I was an artist. I didn't really realize I didn't realize it was an artist. And that's when I said, "Oh, I guess I'm a musician." And I'm able to do this is because I have a really supportive and loving husband. We've been married for 42 years, and he's my biggest supporter. And and he earns a good salary enough that I don't have to support myself, because it's really hard to support yourself as a musician. Even like David Darling, he got Grammy Awards, and they're always struggling. You get to the top and there's always another top to get to. It's really hard to earn money as an artist. I know painters and musicians and dancers. It's you have to cobble together a career of more than just performing and recording. You have to teach. It's an interesting, but when you get people crying because you've touched them so deeply, it's the best job in the world. In 2005 and 2006, I was chosen to be the Connecticut State Troubadour, and the process was you had to write a song about Connecticut and do the application, and then there was a committee that selected you or didn't. And as I actually, the first time I applied, I didn't get selected, and I was upset, but I'm glad they didn't accept me back then, because I grew more by the time they accepted me. I got better at my songwriting. And Jody Rell was the governor at the time. It was really exciting. I got to sing for her at the State House. That was fun. And I got to sing at the Bushnell, and I got to sing at libraries, and I got to schools all over the state. And I had a New York Times article. It was just a really fun 2 years. It was busy, and I feel like, inspire others to find their own creative voices in the workshops that I did. So it was fun. So the Litchfield Art Council was started last fall. I
Hmm.
think it was September was officially began. One of the ways that we're going to promote our town is to have an arts council, because arts are important. Arts feed the soul, they bring people in. So it's an economic and, I think, a spiritual thing that really helps the town. So there's Priscilla Jeffrey is the president. Um, Jessica Jane is the vice president, and I am the treasurer. Charlie Dumay is on it, a lovely woman named Kaylin, and Michelle Morelli, and Jennifer Terzian, who owns a gallery in town. So, yeah, we're in the process of building it up. A grant from the state, from the arts, the Connecticut Office of the Arts, got money from the National Endowment of the Arts, and I'm doing it with a fellow teaching artist, Leslie Johnson, and it's called finding the finding the writer within, and it's a 4 hour workshop in Woodbury at Arts Escape, and we'll be doing writing poetry, doing some sound escapes. I've got lots of instruments in the back. They're very easy instruments for people to play, and hopefully people will cry at the end because we've touched their souls with music and art. Find your way home to yourselves with art, and love each other.